Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes podcast. I'm Bert Lepore. He's Damian Montecarlo. We're hanging here with Angry Mike D, and we talk about music, movies, and so much more.
Again. We're back. Another episode of Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes, episode 46. This one we're talking great debut albums. This is not a list in any particular order, just 12 picks that that we'd recommend as killer debut albums that that left its mark.
All right, we're going to start off with 9 Inch Nails. Damon, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really an expert on them, probably the farthest thing from it, but you can't deny their place in music history, especially the debut album, which I was kind of surprised it came out so early, 1989. I always see
thought it was later too,
in 90s, which is it just goes to show you that how ahead of its time it was, because it doesn't sound like an 80s record to me, but yeah, I mean, can't deny its place in music. Great record,
What song you going with for your what song you going with for your mixtape?
I'd go with Head Like a Hole, because it's probably the only one that I really know.
Yeah, it's a great song. It's a great song. Mike D, what do you got on 9 Inch Nails?
Yeah, when this album came out, I didn't hear anything like this before. I remember hearing that video or seeing that video on MTV that Had Like a Hole. That next weekend, I was out, and that album was in my headphones for the rest of that year. And I mean, this was sort of like an introduction to industrial music. Like, you kind of wanted more after this. So it was like you kind of ventured in like KMFDM after that. But like, this was just blew my mind, this album.
Yeah. What are you picking for your mixtape song?
I mean, it's easy. Had Like a Hole. That's definitely the standout track on that album.
Cool. Pretty Hate Machine was great. I was still working at the record store. It was 1989, and I remember when it came out, it was so different. Lyric wise, it's crazy, man. It's pretty brutal. Also, Head Like a Hole was the first song I heard. Great song. I seen the video. The video was crazy. I don't know if the mic stands were they in like tape, or I don't know what that was. If you remember,
it looked like it was like I don't know, VCR tape or something.
Yeah,
or real tape or what. Like,
it looked like the old.
I remember they were spinning upside down and everything.
Yeah, Dame, you're right. They were bizarre. All their videos are pretty bizarre.
Yeah,
I would have loved to know what this album would have sounded like if Trent did it the way he wanted to, though. And I know he wanted heavier guitars in there, more of a metal feel to it, but their studio kind of said, nope, we want a more dancey album, poppy album. But I think it made him angry. And I think he left the record label he was on, and that's when he put out Broken. And that album was just so angry. I don't even consider it an EP. I call it an album.
Mm-hmm. Right. Their guitar tone always sounded like kind of like chainsaws,
Yeah. Yeah.
It had like almost
it's sort of like that industrial kind of like almost like a cold sound to it.
Yeah, it's like you hear industrial, like what's that sound like? Well, it sounds like that. I mean, just like the guitars, they sound like they're like it's coming from like a factory or something. Like some
a lot of clinks and clanks and yeah.
And it's where you heard like a lot of sound effects kind of floating in and out. And it was, I didn't know much about industrial music, and I still really don't. I mean, I know a couple bands, but this probably White Zombie was probably my opening to a little bit of that. And then 9 Inch Nails, and White Zombie just touched on it here and there. I think the second record, they really,
it was a little more like industrial metal.
Yeah.
It had a little dancey stuff going on, right?
Yeah, and I guess I kind of like the dancey stuff mixed in with the heavy stuff. It's pretty cool. I'm not a huge 9 Inch Nails guy, but this record and Downward Spiral are probably my two favorites. And probably the only two I really need. Yeah, great record. Terrible Lies, another really good song. I'm going to say Head Like a Hole was going to be my pick for the track, though. I think all three of us agreed on that one. Moving on to the next one, Damo, Metallica, Kill 'Em All.
Another one, groundbreaking record. I mean, pretty much the first of the thrash genre. I mean, there was other bands that were, that they kind of came from that, like Motorhead and a lot of the British metal bands, but I mean, they were the first to really put the stamp on what they were doing. I mean, that kind of like all exploded from there.
Absolutely.
It's yeah, landmark album for the genre.
Yeah. And was that your first Metallica album you heard, or no?
No, my first, I got into them later. I wasn't even old enough at that point. I mean, first one was well, I got Garage Days, but I don't really count that. So Justice for All was the first one that I got, and then I kind of
Same here.
I went backwards.
Yeah, I think most of
But
us. Mine
it's
was Ride the
funny.
Lightning.
Kill 'Em All is my least favorite of the like the Cliff Burton ones.
I agree.
I think it probably has to do. I do like the raw production usually on albums, but for this one, I kind of really don't like it that much. And it's probably the album I listened to the least.
Yeah.
But you know all the songs, because a lot of them they still play in their live set.
Yep. Absolutely. If you had to pick one song,
Phantom Lord.
It's a good one. That's a good one. Definitely a good one. Mike D, Metallica, Kill 'Em All.
Great album, but I didn't hear this till like years later. I'm talking years later. I must have been in my 20s when I heard this one. But yeah, I think probably my favorite on that was Seek and Destroy.
Yeah, I would say that's probably my go-to too. So I would go with Seek and Destroy also. But the whole record, I do like the whole record. My first Metallica record was Ride the Lightning, and I didn't even hear Kill 'Em All until I heard Master of Puppets, and then I went back. But and then I remember, same thing me and Dame talked before, where they released these records, and I don't know if the original one had Am I Evil on it, and then it wasn't on it, and then it was on it.
Yeah, it did. Right.
Yeah. So I wonder if the original LP had it. I have to look that up. If the original vinyl.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember the version of Kill 'Em All that I had didn't have Am I Evil, but Frankie Meatball, he had it.
Right.
He had Kill 'Em All, and his version had it on it. I was like, "Yo, what the hell, man? I got ripped off."
I got ripped off. I didn't know for the longest time it wasn't their song.
Yeah.
That's funny because it's like if you read like Blabbermouth or something like that, the guy from Diamond Head's always bitch, oh, that Metallica made you money.
Yeah, right. Probably bought a car.
Yeah, nobody would have remembered. That's crazy. Alice in Chains Facelift. What do you got, Damo?
Yeah, that's another one. Another great album. Came out in 1990. Another one, man. So many great songs. I think like the first 4 tunes I love. I mean, I'm so sick of Man in the Box, but you can't deny what a great tune it is.
I agree.
And they were easily my favorite from that scene too. Like they were the most metal, I think. I love the guitar sound and the vocals.
They weren't grunge, man. Come on.
They were a metal band. They were a metal band.
Yeah. They were almost like a doom metal band.
Yeah. They came from like the whole, like almost like the same thing that Soundgarden came from, like the very Sabbath, and then they kind of branched off. I think.
I don't consider Soundgarden grunge either.
They just
had
a metal band,
right? Because they really weren't doing like that glam metal style. It wasn't the power metal. It was kind of
Alice in Chains. If you want to talk about that, the glams they came 1000% from that.
Wow,
the glam stuff was bad.
I mean,
God,
if you said Alice in Chains, you're going to think it's a Sunset Strip band.
Dave, if you had to pick one song from it, though,
"We Die Young" is my favorite one on the record.
Yeah.
Either that or like "Sea of Sorrow," but
yeah,
definitely "We Die Young."
Cool, Mike D.
Yeah, I picked Sea of Sorrow.
Yeah, I want to go with Man in the Box for the mix, but as far as like Dame said, the first 4 or 5 songs, oh my God, it just. And We Die Young, it's close to being my favorite one. It's. I mean, we got We Die Young's on that thing. Bleed the Freak, I like.
Mm-hmm.
Man in the Box. There's just so many good songs on that record.
Love, Hate.
The album just starts out great. I mean, there's really no long intro. It just kind of kicks you right in the face. You kind of comes right in with everything with the singing.
And that song's short. We Die Young's it's like a short song.
Yeah.
And it goes perfectly.
2.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And the way that ends and Man in the Box starts, it's like perfect.
Right. Yeah. It's like 1A and 1B.
Yeah. Of course, one of my favorite bands. it was vocally, man, that guy is just different. And then the harmonies with Cantrell, it's just that album blew me away. That album blew me away like Guns N' Roses blew me away when I first heard it. Like they were two records that I was like, what is this? You know?
Yeah, it's a shame they couldn't really, keep it together. What is it? Only three full albums they did together with with Wayne, I guess.
I think they did and they had 2 EPs. I think it was Facelift, Sap, which was an EP.
Sap.
Jar Flies.
Love
Jar Flies. Oh, such a great
one.
So
like 3 and it's self-titled. So it's like 3 records, 2 EPs, and the MTV Unplugged. That's everything. And they put out some live thing, which I don't even count after that. But yeah, I mean, still a great band. The new guy's good, but it's it's
he's pretty good.
He's good. He's good.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fault them for wanting to continue on. It's not their fault that he died. It's
no.
I don't have a problem with the band.
I mean, they don't sound worse. They don't sound worse. It still sounds like Alice in Chains.
Yeah, just yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it does sound like them, but a little more, I guess, commercial in a way. I think
Yeah, his voice was just so distinct.
Yeah,
definitely. It sounds more like Jerry's solo stuff almost.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next one. Motley Crue, Too Fast for Love. Damo, what you got?
Yeah, after Van Halen, Motley Crue just kind of like picked up the ball and ran with it. They were like, they're like the first one, probably the most influential, from LA.
Yeah.
Band, that came from that scene, and then just shot out. I mean, Van Halen was like 4 years before them. So this is kind of like, it was like Van Halen and nobody signed any bands until they like signed new wave bands after that. And then Motley Crue was like the first after Van Halen, but yeah, another album, go straight down, every song is great. And it's different than, every album is definitely different with them. Like Shout at the Devil is more like a metal album. This one's definitely more like, it's got like some punky, it's got like some, like a little pop flavor to it, at times, but great songs. Come On and Dance, Live Wire, Piece of Your Action, and my personal favorite, if I had to put it on a mixtape, would be Take Me to the Top.
That's a great song. Yeah. That's a great one.
Video.
Yeah, fucking video. Great, man. Fucking video is great. Mike D.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear this till years later. And when I heard it, this was almost my go-to album for them. Like, this was just raw. It was kind of, it had the energy. So I'd probably pick off of this one. Was it Merry-Go-Round?
That's a great song too. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, just that song was like kind of like bizarre too.
It was different.
Yeah.
I wonder if someone actually counted how many times they say merry-go-round.
It was a lot.
A lot. It's a lot. Yeah, for me, the Motley Crue record, Too Fast for Love. My first record was Shout at the Devil. That's the first I seen the video, but I used to see them in like Hit Parader magazine before I heard them, and so I knew of them, and I never heard them to Shout at the Devil. Then I was blown away when I seen Shout at the Devil, the video for Looks to Kill, and I picked up that record and just fell in love with the band. The first record, wow, I mean, so good. Every song's good, like Damo said. It was different. It was unique. It didn't sound like Van Halen, even though it was from that, that area. And they definitely opened the doors for that whole scene, man. They blew the doors open, and they're one of the bands that, they call, if I guess the term didn't come until the 90s or whatever, probably, but the hair metal thing, they survived all that, for whether it be being in, the limelight and all that stuff. But, Motley Crue survived. Motley Crue's not counted. They don't get counted almost. It's almost like they have a pass, which is fine. I don't really like that, even though I'll use that term once in a while. I really don't like that term. I don't know. It was just rock at the time, and that's what was.
Motley Crue was the band that all those other bands wanted to be.
Absolutely.
So
Motley Crue had the attitude. They had the sound. Fuck, man, them songs sound great, and there's only one guitar player, and it sounds that good. So, which means your bass player and drummer got to be really good. Now, Nicky's a decent bass player. Back then, he probably wasn't, of course, not as good as he is now, but he was a writer.
Tommy Lee held it together, though.
Tommy Lee is a beast, man. He can make a cowbell sound cool. You know what I mean? It's just
I don't think Mick Mars gets enough credit.
You're right.
Nah, he doesn't.
I agree. I agree with you. But it's one of those bands that, you know, besides Iron Maiden and maybe like we discussed other Kiss, how many bass players are like the main focus of the band, you know, of the band? You know, not many. Not many.
And but I tried to count how many times he said merry-go-round, and I think it's 35, which is still.
We must have checked that out.
I'll have to check myself. I'll have to listen to the song. I was just like reading the lyrics and counting.
I'm gonna
Are we boring you?
Yeah, I was doing it while you guys were talking real quick.
No, that's good. That's good. I want to go with the obvious and Live Wire. I love the song. I love the video. I mean, it's one of those songs. Yeah, you know, you heard it 1,000 times, but it's still great song, especially when it breaks down that breakdown part. It's just so good. Yeah, it's great riff. It's a great album. It's a fantastic album. Okay, guys, moving on to the next one. I guess my guilty pleasure, maybe Dame's also, but these guys make it every time. Kiss, the debut record. Who do you got, Damo?
Yeah, another one. And like most of them, you know, a lot of the songs that, you know, what makes up is a great debut album is that most of the songs on the record like last throughout their, you know, their stage show. Yeah. You know, and you go down a list and pretty much, man, like a good portion of these songs they still play. You know, Strutter, Firehouse, Cold Gin, Deuce, 100,000 Years, Black Diamond. They're like always in the set. That's most of the record right there.
Yep. The one bad song on that record is the one that they didn't even want to put on and they got forced to put on was that Kissin' Time.
Oh, Kissin' Time.
Or Love Theme from Kiss. Either way, you know, but I don't count that. Even though I love the bass line, it just dead boom, bang, it's got that 70s sound. Like in Phantom of the Park. Phantom of the Park. Did you ever see the version where like they're playing it as he's like, you know, I don't know if it was the European version, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I love it. Where Gene's kind of like beating up everybody and you hear the music. It's so good.
Right.
It's so good, man.
The song on my that I put on my mixtape is probably Strutter. It's always my favorite song on the album.
It's a good one.
Yeah, this one's tough. This one's tough to pick one. Mike D, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, this is the Kiss I like.
Yeah.
This is a great album. And it's probably got one of my favorite Kiss songs in there of all time, too, which is Deuce.
I love this record. It's not the first Kiss record I ever had. The first one was Destroyer. But I love this record, man, from top to bottom. I could do without Kissin' Time. But from top to bottom, I love this record. And like Dame said, that they still play 90-something% of these songs live. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and it's weird because even when we were going through the list, me and Mike were debating back and forth for a little bit going, yeah, but that album really wasn't big when it came out. It wasn't. I'm like, yeah, but man, it stood the test of time, I thought, you know. Mm-hmm. It definitely, it might have took, you know, a live album to break them, but it doesn't mean the records weren't great, you know.
Yeah, when you could look at an album and they're still playing those songs 20, 30, 40 years down the road. I mean, that's all you need to know.
And it's not one song. It's 90% of the record.
Majority. Yeah.
It definitely is.
Mm-hmm.
I love the first Kiss record. It's probably one of my, it might be top 2, top 3 favorite albums of all time for me. It's definitely my favorite Kiss record. Mm-hmm. And for me, there's so many great songs, but I'm going to go with Deuce. I'm going to go with Deuce on this one. Damo, Iron Maiden.
Another one came out in 1980. Still sounds fresh. I mean, so many of these songs are still played by them. And it's, you know, next to Judas Priest and Motorhead, I mean, Iron Maiden are probably the 3 founding and Sabbath, obviously. They're like the big four, I think, of heavy metal. No frills, heavy metal. No thrash or this, just metal. Like they're like the Mount Rushmore, And I mean, great record. My favorite, if I had to put it on a mixtape, would be, the title track, Iron Maiden. I just love how it starts out and then it, comes pounding in, a lot of energy.
It's fun. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, a ton of energy.
But like how usually when bands put out a track that's their name, usually it sucks.
Yeah.
This one did
something. Yeah.
Mike D.
Yeah, another one. Like I didn't hear this until years later, and I mean like maybe the last few years. And I didn't think I was going to like Maiden without Bruce Dickinson. Wow, this album's a gem.
Yeah,
this album is just from beginning to end. There's nothing bad on this. Nothing.
What's funny is I prefer the Bruce Dickinson.
Oh, me too.
A million times over Paul Di'Anno, but when you listen to his first two Maiden albums, it almost sounds like really fresh, because I'm so used to hearing
Bruce,
Bruce sing, so it almost sounds like, sort of like a new band or something.
Well, because music wise, you can hear where they're heading,
Mm-hmm.
It's still like you knew you were listening to Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
definitely. Mike D, if you had to pick a song.
This is a tough one, but I'm going to go with Running Free.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's a great one too.
It's tough. I'm going to go with Running Free also for my tape. But there are so many good songs, man. There are so many good songs, and like you said, it's fresh. When we all love Bruce. Bruce is all our favorite, but the Paul Di'Anno record, it's like he brings this punkiness to it.
Yeah,
it's just,
it definitely had a lot of punk moments on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think they had to get Bruce to move on. I don't know how far it would have went with Di'Anno's voice, but the first two records are stellar,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was the right move. And the thing I love about Bruce is that Bruce will play those songs live, and then he'll also even play some of the Blaze Bayley songs live. And I was listening to the live album they just put out, the one from Mexico. I just want to listen to it, and he still sounds great. Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Rob
Halford,
cancer, right?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
like tongue cancer.
Tongue cancer, right?
Yeah.
I think that would affect his voice, but my God, man, it almost like made it better.
Yeah. Yeah. He still runs around.
Yeah. It's in great shape.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, man. They're such a good band. They definitely should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As we said before, it's ridiculous that they're not.
And we should say it every time until they do.
Yeah, I'm sure they're listening to us. Yeah. The whole record's really good, but I'm gonna go with Running Free. I'm definitely gonna go with Running Free. All right, guys, moving on to the next one on the list. Damo's favorite, Pearl Jam 10.
Yeah, definitely not one of my favorite bands. Probably one of my least favorite bands ever. But again, if I didn't mention it, I'll mention it again. You cannot deny a band's greatness, whether you like it or not, and, they definitely, are like one of the, great rock and roll bands still around doing it. And, they never really had a point in their career where they dipped or anything. They were always, attained a high level of success the whole way. And this album is, it's a groundbreaking record for them. It's funny, just reading the album credits, Eddie Vedder only wrote 3 of the 11 songs on the record. I'm sure that changed, after this. I think the guys he was like the last one to join, I think.
Because the Mother Love Bone
thing,
know.
Yeah. But yeah, they broke off from like Mother Love Bone and stuff. So,
which was a total different sounding band. I thought it was totally different.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know what to call that band. It was kind of like glam meets.
Yeah, they had like a 70s kind of
right.
70s kind of T-Rex glam vibe or something.
It was different.
Yeah. And I don't even know, like, if someone would say, how do you describe Pearl Jam? I don't even know how I would describe them. Like they do have.
They're like not grunge, really. They're not.
No, they're just like a rock band. Like I don't even know how to.
They did. I mean, this was kind of grungy. This album, the first one at least.
I would consider
but
him
it's
like
not
in that
like-
classic rock kind of sound, maybe. I
Kind of
don't know,
Neil
something
Young
like that.
kind of, you know.
Yes, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I would describe. Oh, like you could say Alice in Chains or like Soundgarden meets this or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even know it. But which is that's another good thing. Like you don't really sound like anybody except they're a rock and roll band.
Yep.
But again, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan. But
Yeah.
the one song I do really like is on this record, and it's Black. It's a really great tune,
Great song.
moody song, and I always remember going into Philly Rock. It was like this like a restaurant, it was like a ripoff.
Oh man, I was in there a lot back in the day.
But they had a great.
That was a great
jukebox,
place,
and they always
yes,
and
they
this song
did.
was always on there. And I think probably from hearing it a million times in there, I was like, you know what, it's a pretty damn good song. So that's my pick.
Cool. Mike D, Pearl Jam 10.
Hey, I mean, great album. They're just I think every song on that album was a hit or hit worthy.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was just back. You don't have that anymore in these albums that come out today. It's kind of like you get like 4 songs maybe, and the rest is all filler.
4 songs is considered huge.
That's pushing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like for a debut album to come out like this, it's almost unheard of. Only a couple other bands really, I could say for me, did it on their debut album. But I got to go Even Flow, man. I think that was a great track.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. Was that the first one or was Alive the first one?
Alive was the first one. I'm not sure if Even Flow was the second or third. I think it might have been the second. I'm not either that or Jeremy.
I'm not a huge Pearl Jam guy. But this album was definitely groundbreaking. It was the change. They sounded different because the voice was different. The voice might be annoying now, but it was different. It was really.
It's funny because I'm not a huge Pearl Jam fan, but when I hear them, I like them more than I thought.
I might be there too. I mean, I would rarely put them on.
Yeah, same here.
But
I'll have to revisit it.
Yeah. It's like 10's a great record though. Just like Dame said, there's no denying it. Every song is either a hit or hit worthy, like Mike said. And I'm gonna go with Alive, but there's plenty of songs to pick from this, even like Once. I mean, there's so many good songs off this record. And they became one of those bands that were like, they're like, like a Black Crowes or something like that. Not that they sound like that, but like one of those bands that could say, a half an hour from now, they could say, all right, we're playing the Wachovia Center and it'll be packed.
Oh yeah.
It's just they don't have to even probably put out records. They could probably be like the Grateful Dead and just tour everywhere and it'll be packed.
They got that kind of following.
Yeah, that following kind of, I mean, I don't know, what the people are like, but it reminds me of that kind of following where it's going to be packed no matter what.
Yeah.
Yep. Not my cup of tea, but this album is great. It's definitely great.
And look how many singers sound like him now. You turn on the radio,
everybody.
There's like a million sound alikes.
Yeah,
a million of them.
Bush.
Especially at that time.
Oh my god. 90% of those bands I do not like. Thanks to him.
What's the word? The Jarl? The Jarl?
Yeah.
The only thing that was cool about it was so different that it broke everybody out of that you have to sing really high thing.
I'll give him that.
But it's like anything. Once you cook, you cut it.
They spawned a lot of shitty bands. A lot.
Yeah.
Get him, Damo.
Oh my god.
Awesome. I'm gonna pick Alive for my pick. Okay, moving on. Damo, Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced?
Yeah, I mean, on this list we have a couple, groundbreaking guitar players who revolutionized the instrument, and Hendrix is absolutely one of them, if not the first. He just what people were doing, he took it to an absolutely other level, man. And you go down the track level, I mean, the track listing on this record, and every song you still hear on the record. I mean, on the radio, just amazing, killer tunes. which stand the test of time. Actually, I kind of like Third Stone from the Sun, which is a pretty cool, like kind of
Good song.
trippy, jazzy tune, which
Yeah.
you don't really hear a lot. But if I had to pick one that would be on mine, it would be Fire. There's a lot of energy on that song.
Another great, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of killer, playing, drumming, and everything.
Nice. Mike D.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to go with Manic Depression on this one.
Great song too. Yeah. Great song. Man, this record it's like Dame said, groundbreaking. Like, look at how many people tried to copy him.
Yeah.
Foxy Lady. I'm gonna go with that one. It's just the whole album's great. The whole album's great. And he had that style, man, where like he sang, but he didn't sing. It was a cadence or something,
Yeah, it was almost like talking, like a
Yeah.
spoken word in a
Yeah.
way.
But
without
bad, like like a cross town traffic song or something,
Yeah, it was kind of unique. Like nobody sounded like him before, and really no one sounded like him after.
No, they tried, but
No.
no.
What's his name? Lenny Kravitz tried.
Yeah, he hits that mark here and there.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? So I'm gonna go with Foxy Lady for my mix. We're gonna move on to the next one. The next one is Van Halen's debut. Van Halen, what do you got, Damo?
Yeah, I mean, just like Hendrix, another guy. He was like, at Hendrix, he had a bunch of great guitar players after that, but when Eddie came around, man, there's another guy that kind of just changed the game. And
Yep.
It's just the whole record is just amazing. Like so many great tunes on this. You can't really say too much more than that. I mean, Eddie Van Halen, David Lee Roth, greatest rock frontman of all time. But for my playlist, I would pick probably Atomic Punk.
Hey, I love that you're going out of the box. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Mike D.
Yeah, I went with Jamie's Crying on this one.
I almost went with that.
I like that. I love that riff, man.
Yeah,
it's
Wow,
great.
wow.
I went with Running with the Devil. A lot of my picks are just
you're going for the hits.
Yeah,
you're going for the hits.
My picks.
I wanted to pick that too, and I'm like, man, it's such a great song, but it's like, that's the song you hear the most.
I know everything I picked was something that was the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Such a great record. Nobody sounded like that. That was a whole different ball game, man. And I didn't really listen to Van Halen until Diver Down. I might have heard the songs, but I didn't remember until I started really getting into music. When was Diver Down? Maybe 82ish or something like that.
82, I think.
82. Yeah. That was my first cassette of Van Halen and all. So
82, 83.
Yeah, so that's when I kind of started listening to him, and then and then 84 came out, and I was like, oh, what is this? I was loving it. And then I went back and backtracked with the other stuff. But the first record, there's not a bad song on it. There's not one at all.
Not one. Yeah.
There's not one at all. And did you see, for my pick for that, like I said, Running with the Devil, but did you see the thing that Gene Simmons put up about David Lee Roth? And guess what? He's not wrong. I love David Lee Roth.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah. I think there's more to the story than that.
So I'm on the outside on this one.
People asked him why Roth isn't the opening act on the Kiss tour anymore, and Gene pretty much like trashed him, saying that he's not the same Daily Roth that you remember from years ago, blah blah blah. It's like watching Fat Elvis. Who wants to see Elvis that way? But I kind of think there was more to the story. I think maybe
I'm sure there has to be.
One of the things I read that there was like a clause in like his contract where if the shows get canceled, he could exercise his right to still get paid or something.
Oh, Dave's smart. Yeah,
shows.
Dave's smart.
So I think somebody said that he did that, which kind of like pissed Gene off, that he wouldn't just like wait for the shows to become rescheduled and all this. So who the hell knows? There's always shit behind closed doors.
I believe that. What you just said, I believe. I totally believe that. But he did say Dave was, one of the greatest frontman ever. Nobody was like him ever since, kind of deal. He did say that first. Then he said, then he just said, then you get today's Dave.
Yeah.
I did like that.
People just always tear him apart, though. I mean, just
Didn't he have a radio show?
He did for a little
At
bit. It
one
wasn't
point,
bad.
Yeah.
It was all right. I
He
thought it was all
replaced
right.
he replaced Howard Stern
Yeah. I didn't think it
for
was
like
bad, Dame.
for
I
like
didn't think it
3
was
months.
bad.
It was weird. You
It
know, it
was
was
weird.
almost like it was sort of like if you've ever listened to Little Steven's Underground Garage.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, Little Steven had on Sunday night on regular terrestrial radio from like 10 to 11 or 10 to midnight or something. He plays like all this like weird underground garage rock type stuff, but like when he's like actually introducing the songs, he has like this music playing in the background, and he's kind of talking in like almost like a beatnik kind of poet way. And Rolf kind of did the same thing on his show. Like he would have like this jazz music playing in the background. He's like, we were telling these stories that go on and on and on. It was just like really
bizarre. It was bizarre.
Really bizarre. Yeah.
I get a kick out of him. I can't help it.
It was very like it was like something out of like Pulp Fiction or something. Like,
To Dave's credit, he is who he is, though. I give him credit on that. He don't care. Like even that live record that he put out, the last live record Van Halen put out, there could have been a ton of stuff he could have fixed. He said, "Nope, it is what it is."
I just picture him like scatting as he talks.
Oh, he does. It's great.
This is David Lee Roth.
I don't think it's an act, man. I think he's just like that.
I think so too.
I mean, how can you put that acting on for 45 years?
Oh, he's great. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah, if I had to make a list, this would be my number one. It's one of my, if not my favorite record of all time. I mean, it was a life changer for me. And it was nothing kind of really, I mean, nothing sounded like it at the time. I mean, they did, they kind of came out of the, everybody was looking pretty and everything. And these guys look like friggin', street bums,
I mean, look at the picture on the back of the album. I mean,
it's great. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was even set up to be a group picture or they were just passed out.
Yeah.
At least Slash looked like he was.
He probably was.
Yeah, it was. It was so real. It wasn't like there wasn't anything fake about them. And Axl, love him or hate him. I mean, the guy's, back then, man, he did not give a fuck. And just the lyrics were just so, they're like stories, man, like just great, great stories. And with that, I think my favorite track is Night Train.
Great song. You can't go wrong on this record.
Yeah,
nope.
You can pick anyone.
Yep. Mike D.
Yeah, this is, I mean, from beginning to end. And I think we just listened to this recently, and I'm like, you know what? I think I might have had this on one of those albums I never need to hear again because I heard it so much, and I'm wrong on that because, wow, it still sounds great. But the track I'm gonna go with, It's So Easy, man. That was just like, that was different. It just had like a punk vibe to it. Like it was raw.
That might have been almost like a tie.
Yeah,
with Night Train for me. I never get sick and tired of hearing those two, and they're both back to back.
Yep.
Usually, the way I listen to the record now, track one for me is It's So Easy. I don't even listen to Welcome to the Jungle anymore.
Right. You're just so used to, yeah.
I just skip right over it.
When this record came out, man, I never heard anything like it. And from singing and stuff like that totally changed my style. Where I heard that deep voice, and man, when I heard that deep voice, I'm like, oh shit, I don't have to sound like Jeff Tate. Even though Axl could also sing high, but when I heard that, and listen, I rip him off as much as I could, not even intentionally. He is the best. To me, he's the last great fucking rock star right now. You're waiting an hour to see Axl. That's a rock star. Axl's watching the end of the basketball playoff game. He'll be out when it's over. That's a fucking rock
I think
star.
both times in concert I saw them, they were at least like an hour late.
Listen, he really damaged his reputation from doing that, because even now, and he doesn't do that stuff anymore. He does.
Right.
He's on time. He barely talks to the crowd. He's a total opposite of how he used to be. But
Right.
man, I read comments like on Facebook, like you know, you get like these news sites, like, so you just say like WMMR will post, yeah, Guns N' Roses, you know, out on tour right now, and you read the comments. Oh, I'd love to go, but you know, he always comes on like 2 hours late. It's like, dude, no, he hasn't. Hasn't done that
Right.
in
It's saying something you did when you were a kid, you still
ages.
do. Yeah.
Exactly right. It's like, you know, it's like I don't know. You kick some little kid off of his bike when you're 6 years old, and you know, oh, you know, 30 years later, oh yeah, that fucking guy, he likes to kick people off their bikes.
Yeah, it was like, yeah.
Yeah, I was like fucking 6 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
People change.
The thing with that though, even with him running late or whatever, the anticipation, it's waiting for a big boxing match or UFC or wrestling match, where it was the anticipation of you don't, and the danger thing of you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen with Axl.
Yeah, right.
He is the last great rock star. I can't think of anybody after him. Dave Grohl, come on.
There's clips on YouTube, right? I forget what it's called, but it's like it's like 10-20 minutes of like just like Axl temper tantrums, right?
I love it.
The one clip, it's funny. He's like on stage, he's like, thanks to the lame security, I'm out of here. Boom. He like slams the mic on the face. Like,
I love it's a rock star.
You know what's crazy, man? This whole band, they all survived to this point somehow.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all alive.
Like back then,
alive.
like oh man, someone's gonna die in like a couple of weeks from this band. Like one of them's definitely gonna OD. I mean, you heard stuff about them doing it, but
well,
like
Adler had a stroke from all the friggin' drugs he did.
Yeah, but it's amazing that they're still around
and playing. Yeah, they were what they looked like. They sounded like they looked like, and they were it. I mean, I like a lot of bands that came after that. They're the last great fucking rock band. You know, they just are. Axl's his own thing. Like Dame said, Axl don't give a fuck. He does what he wants to do. Listen, that album came out 20 years later. It supposedly failed, I guess, even though I thought it was great. And guess what? It didn't matter. Axl put it out when he felt like it. If it sold 1 or 3 billion, Axl didn't care.
He doesn't give a shit. No.
Does what he wants to do. And that's what an artist does. They do what they want to do. If Axl wanted to try and write hits, they'd be rewriting Sweet Child of Mine 1,000 times. They do that new song. You know, I listened to it a couple times. Took a couple times to warm up to. Remember I talked to you about it, Dave, and you told me, I'll give it a couple more times.
It was different.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different. And would that be the commercial song you would put out if you were the record guy? Absolutely not.
Nah, he doesn't give a fuck. Huh?
They do what they
He
want
said, here, you know, here's a new song. You know, like it or don't.
Yeah,
And
I love it. I love the
It
attitude.
seemed like that. You know, that most of the people out there don't seem to like it. I kind of like it.
It grew
Personally,
on
I think
me.
it sounds different.
It grew on me.
You know, it kind of reminds me of like one of the, you know, B-side tracks that would have been on like one of the Illusion albums. You know.
Yeah, it was punky.
Like,
It's kind of punky, right? I would say it's punky.
Yeah.
It's definitely different. Definitely different. But yeah. Appetite for Destruction, you hit it on the head, Dame. Even though being a huge Kiss fan, if I had to take one album with me and one album only, that would be the record. That's my favorite record of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. There's no denying it. It was a groundbreaker for me musically. It was a groundbreaker of energy. Dude, Live at the Ritz, man. And if you listen back to it now, you go, it wasn't, you know, there's a lot of mess ups on. Guess what? That Live at the Ritz, who cares with all the noise and the feedback? And that's what it is, man. That Live at the Ritz show, I think even more blew them up. You know, it was when MTV was doing concerts, that was like no other concert that they put on. It's unbelievable. And all the extra feedback, who cares? It didn't matter. It was the in the moment kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun to watch at.
I still love it. I still love it, man. Okay, guys. Oh, did I pick a song? I didn't pick a song. Mr. Brownstone would have been my song.
That's
Even
a
though
good
it's tough.
Another
It's
guy, yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't go with the theme you have and pick
Welcome to the Jungle.
Welcome to the Jungle.
No, I went with Brownstone.
We're a sweet child of mine.
Yeah.
I switched it up. Moving on to the next one. Led Zeppelin's first record.
Yeah, I mean, here's another one, another game changer, and I'm not the biggest Zeppelin fan, but there's always been, there's always a debate, who started, metal. Was it them or Sabbath? They both came out like about a year apart. Their albums came out I think this came out in January '69, and Sabbath came out in February of '70. So
Sabbath was
it
after.
about
I
a
didn't know
year.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, Sabbath was a year after. Sabbath definitely is what you think of metal, but I think Zeppelin might be like the first true hard rock band. I'll give that to them. But
yeah,
a lot of great tunes. My favorite one would be Communication Breakdown.
It's a great one. Yeah,
that's like the most metal, one of their most metal songs, I think.
The riffs, all the riffs are just fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
And we still hear them riffs today, twisted around or whatever, but you still hear them.
Mm-hmm.
You still, I mean, dude, there's 1,000 songs that sound like Dire Mocker. You know what I mean? It's just like, or Crush or whatever the deal. It's everything comes from the blues. Everything metal comes from Sabbath or comes from Zeppelin. You could break it down to Zeppelin and Sabbath and then break them down to the blues, pretty much.
Right.
Bands are still ripping off Zeppelin completely today.
So you say. So you say.
Mm-hmm.
It's Mike's favorite. Mike D, what do you got on Zeppelin?
They're no Greta Van Fleet, but love Zeppelin, man. I mean, it's weird because like you were saying about who was more responsible for like the heavy metal. Well, I think it was like Sabbath was more of like, branched out into like the darker side of metal, where Led Zeppelin was more of like broke off into the glam area a little more, I think. So, maybe they could be like the co-creators in a certain sense. Mm-hmm. But also this album. Go ahead.
What's weird is, though, we can even say, oh, it was the beginning of the glam. So the only guy that really looked a little glammed up in that band was probably Robert Plant. Bonham looked like he just got up. John Paul Jones was kind of just there. And Jimmy Page had his own thing. I wouldn't even consider glam. He just had his own, whatever that was.
Yeah, it was borderline.
It's
Yeah.
But and Robert Plant didn't do nothing too crazy. He wore jeans with his balls hanging out. That's all it really was.
Yeah. Kind of like the bell bottom, frilly shirt type of.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, what were you going to say before I rudely interrupted you?
Oh, I was just going to say my pick off the album was Dazed and Confused.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
I guess
that riff in that, man.
I want to see if I stick to the obvious, Damo. I'm going with Good Times, Bad Times.
Yep, going with the theme.
It's horrible, isn't it? First Zeppelin record's great. It's not my favorite. My favorite Zeppelin record's 3. That's probably my favorite one, the acoustic sound one. I like a lot of songs off that. But man, everybody's picked apart this band as far as it still do. They're great riffs. I mean, Jimmy Page.
You still hear their influence on the radio today with new bands.
Absolutely. Them riffs are timeless. And even the vocals, man, that vocal style is timeless. I mean, you got I'm sure, I don't know when he started because he's up there too, but you got Plant and you got your Coverdales and even like your Ray Gillens, who are amazing, but it had to all stem from Zeppelin, right? Let's move on to the next one. Black Sabbath. What you got, Damo?
Yeah, I mean, this is number one. As far as metal goes, I mean, this is pretty much the one that kind of spawned everything. Classic. Nothing sounded like this, man. Before this album came out, the song Black Sabbath is just like frightening, man. It's like
scary, dude.
It's like watching a horror movie. Yeah. It's like creeps.
Just another title track too of the band.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like Iron Maiden, right? So many great songs. NIB, still here on the radio. Wicked World, I like a lot.
That's a great.
My favorite would probably be to put on a mixtape would be The Wizard.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
Another trifecta.
Yeah, I always like that harmonica.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah,
fucking got great is that?
Yeah,
dude. And
yeah,
then
with track 2 coming after the title track, there's that. I mean, that harmonica just it's like, you know, not that it's like creepy or anything, but
it's creepy. I think it's creepy. You know? It's creepy.
Yeah,
because you don't expect it. Dude, it's weird.
Not after that. Yeah.
It's weird. Like Donnie mentioned to me before. It's like if you see a horror movie and they're playing like this real heavy music, you're like, eh. But if you see a horror movie and they're playing like this happy song, it's fucking weird. That makes it weird. Yeah. We even like Halloween with Mr. Sandman. It's fucking weird. It makes it scarier.
Right.
It makes it so that harmonica little thingy there is like you're in the forest. I mean, it's fucking weird.
Yeah, it just adds to the creepiness of it. But
Absolutely.
I mean, the other thing with this album is the album cover is fucking spooky.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you know, grainy with that, you know, with the woman, the witch or whatever hell she is, you know, and the windmill.
I thought it was Ozzy at first.
Yeah. Kind of like how he looks now.
Yeah. Yeah,
because you know, when you see tapes and stuff like that, it's smaller, so it's like, I'm like,
right,
is that Ozzy on there? It's like,
even the color scheme is weird. It's like I don't even know.
Real grainy.
Yeah.
And, you know, did they? I think they recorded this in like one day or something too. Like,
yeah, it was quick.
Yeah. 22 hours or something. Yeah.
It was quick. It was definitely quick. So you're going to go with Wizard. That's your pick.
Yeah.
Mike D.
I am going with the Wizard too. I think we got a trifecta.
I'm going with the Wizard also. And it's that. It's that.
Yeah.
How great is that? How great. And even like being a drummer, Dame, the drums are crazy. Through like all them drummers, man, were crazy back then.
Bill Ward is criminally underrated.
Yes.
I mean, he doesn't get enough credit. I mean, that guy's just amazing.
Yep, definitely. Mike, what were we listening to the other night that I had on? With Iron Maiden, the first Iron Maiden record. Dude, there's so much fucking. I don't know. It's probably in my crazy head, but I'll put the vinyl on, and all of a sudden I started hearing stuff I don't remember hearing. You know, like music wise, and the drums are crazy. Like they're not just straight beats. He's playing these little fills and all. I'm like, I can't believe how good.
Another one.
Yeah, I can't believe how good.
That's what I said to you. I'm like, wow. I was like, I know this isn't the original. Well, I know this is probably the original drummer, but wow, this guy's good.
Yeah, Nico's great too. But like you said, Clive Bear was he's another guy who really don't get as much credit as he probably should.
No,
you know?
Not at all.
You know what guy?
I mean, that stuff had to be hard to play, you know?
You know what guy deserves more credit too? I don't know if he passed away. I know he was sick. I don't know if he passed away. Lee Kerslake, who did did he do the first 2 Ozzy records? He did the first 2 Ozzy
did,
records.
Yeah.
Dude, that beginning of Over the Mountain is unbelievable. Like I thought it was Tommy Aldrich the whole time. I didn't even know until years after that it wasn't
because, I mean, from the video clips, they would never show that original band. It was always like, you know, Ozzy, Randy, Rudy Sarzo, and Tommy Aldridge.
Yeah,
you know, that is like the classic lineup.
Yeah, because that's what was in the album sleeve too for Diary, I believe. I believe they were on the album.
Yeah,
sleeve,
I think so.
on the inside. That's crazy.
But they didn't play on those first 2 records.
No, I didn't even. I thought that was the band. You know, I thought that was the band. So, Black Sabbath, the first record, unbelievable. Man, if Kiss is my favorite band, Sabbath's got to be my second favorite, even though it's close. The top 5 are really close all the time. Sabbath is up there, man, and it's like it's timeless. I could go back and listen to it, and I still blown away by it. Yeah. You know, Ozzy's voice, the guitar sound, the crazy drums, because the drums are almost jazzy but heavy. I don't even know.
I really like the Sabbath after the first 2 records, like the Master Reality.
That's the best record. Master Reality is the best.
And yeah, like my three favorite, they're three in a row is Master Reality Volume 4 and Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Like those three, man.
I'm probably
'cause
with you.
Yeah, probably because I heard the first two so many times.
Yeah, like Iron Man is great, but it's one of those songs where like you're like, like that don't make my mixtape because I don't need to hear it.
And the production, they just sound better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah, Volume 4 and Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. I like them both. Master Reality is definitely my favorite Sabbath record. No doubt about it. That's definitely even the what's the name song, Solitude on there. I didn't even know that was Ozzy. When I heard it, didn't sound nothing like Ozzy. The melody line's great. It's so good. So for me, Black Sabbath, definitely going with the Wizard. Mixtapes and tasty cakes. We'll see you next week.